Welcome to the Thursday Checkdown. I'm Greg Kellogg, and I'm with.
Tipp Major. What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Hey, we're going to have a great show for you tonight. We have and I'm told by Mace Riney, a really close friend, that he's friends with Bo. Bo McCrayer is supposedly hilarious and a chef.
Yeah, no,
The dude can cook.
I've heard some stories about this, man. So I got to ask him a few questions because you were supposed to bring macaroni and cheese and didn't do it.
I'm not bringing you food, man. I'm not doing it. And we also have Cold Crush, who actually is one of my commissioners in my Dynasty League.
Okay.
And he filled in at the last minute for us. So I don't know if we'll be seeing Cold, but we will definitely be hearing from Cold.
There he is.
There we go.
He is. Bro, what's up, man? How you doing, bro?
Oh, we're doing fine. It was great to see both of you at the expo, and it's great to join you on this glorious national holiday, which is Kickoff Thursday.
Yeah,
okay,
man.
now, Bo, you're going to have to talk a little bit louder because we're in a bar.
Oh, you're in a bar. Are you at Dave & Buster's? You about to play some skee ball?
Well, no, we're in the Two Mules Tavern in Spring, Texas. And so we have people around us, and we enjoy it. Anyway, they treat us very well here. And then we've got the Yactician, Cold Crush, again, superb commissioner of my Dynasty League that I'm in. So how are you doing tonight, Cold?
I'm good. How y'all doing?
We're doing
Good,
great.
bro. Good.
So there's a lot of news. I was told just recently that we talk about news first. We were going to talk strongly about the injury report.
Yeah.
But I found the TSA produces their own injury report, and it's just so much easier to do. Just take it from there and send you guys to that. If you go to tinyurl.com/WK1IR, it will take you right to the article that lists all the major injuries this week by position, and it's really well done. So, we know that guys on the injury report are probably going to play a lot of them. So we're not going to worry about that a whole lot right now. So we do have a mailbag.
But wait. Before we go to the mailbag, Greg, I wanna talk to Bo because we didn't really talk too much about his cooking. What are you cooking tonight, bro? What's on the menu for Chef Bo tonight?
Oh man, I keep it simple today. It's really hot. It's like 103, 104 here today in NorCal. So I'm not really in the mood for cooking anything with the oven. I'm gonna access the stovetop. I'm gonna do one pot. I'm gonna make some penne pomodoro, so just some straight up pasta, red sauce. Throw a mountain of Parmesan on top and call it good.
No meat? Where's your meat?
You don't need meat with pasta. It's nice every once in a while, but I think tonight it's just going to be keeping it simple, keeping the flavors really nice and clean. And yeah, I love meat. I'm a carnivore myself. I think tonight's going to be a vegetarian dinner, though.
So you need to post the penne pomodoro out there, bro, because I gotta see it. It sounds delicious. I'm not a real big meat eater myself. I will do it on occasion, but it sounds great. Cold Crush, are you cooking anything tonight? You got some? What you got going on tonight?
Cold?
Can't hear you, bro.
Can't hear you. You're muted. You're muted. Try to work on your audio a little bit so we can hear you.
Well, let's go ahead and go
Can
back.
you hear me now?
Yes. There you go.
There you go. You cooking?
I said we're gonna do some wings. We're gonna do something simple. Just some wings.
Yeah.
Just some nice homemade sauce and wings.
Solid.
Watch the Ravens crush KC tonight. We can just do something simple.
Cold is my type of cook. He's got the meat going. I gotta have my meat. I do. Hey,
if I would have got home early, it would have been a brisket, but I don't have time.
I think I shook up Tipp a little bit tonight. I told him I was coming commando for the show, and I think he had a different opinion than me. See, to me, when I say commando, Iggy, show him what I mean. Iggy? I think we lost Iggy.
Well, I'm just happy you came in this type of commando because I was not Look, I wasn't going to show up if you showed up in the other commando, Greg. I'm sorry. I wasn't going to do
that. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. That's my kind of commando.
But, all right.
If you say so, Greg. If you say so.
We do have some mailbag stuff. You got to have fun with it, right, Bo? If it ain't fun,
True.
Why do it? And one of the things I love about TSA is their entire philosophy is not to hurt anybody, be good to people, and have fun. Hey, if you're not having fun, don't even bother. So anyway, we got a question, if I can read it, from Jeff Whirlybird. Excuse me, Whirlybird. I'm in a 24-team league, and I have Dalton Schultz as my tight end. I have the 24 teams, Dalton Schultz. I have the following for wide receiver: Neighbors, Evans, Higgins, Kirk, and Shakir. Would you trade Neighbors for Laporta? Bo, would you trade Neighbors for Laporta?
In a big league like that, I wouldn't, because your advantage is at the wide receiver position. Being that deep in a league like that is really hard to do. With that kind of receiving core, you can start all those guys in most cases, especially if you have 3 wide receivers starting or 2 wide receivers and 2 flexes starting. Laporta is an upgrade over Dalton Schultz, but not as big as one as if you give up Neighbors, you're making your team a little weaker. Even if you upgrade a little bit at tight end, your wide receiver strength kind of goes away. So I would not make that trade.
Okay, so I got to ask you, Cole, would you make the trade? Can't hear you, Cole. All right, we'll go to Tim.
I said, I'm not a tight end guy, so I'm making the trade. I'm taking Neighbors.
Okay, so that's
I think that's a strong trade. If I'm taking Neighbors, it doesn't matter if it's redraft or dynasty. I'm taking that trade.
Okay, so I'm going to be the contrarian and go before Tip. I was going to let Tip go, but he may agree with you two. I don't. Okay, I
don't either.
I believe that tight end is a difference maker on your roster, and you're not after total points. You're after point differential by position. And I believe that Laporta is such a big upgrade over somebody like Dalton Schultz. We're talking 4 to 6 points per week for Laporta over Schultz. I think you can find another wide receiver that's as good as Neighbors. You can't find another tight end that's as good as Laporta. So I'm basically taking that trade all day if I can get it.
We know what Neighbors is. We don't know what Daniel Jones is. That's the thing.
But what Neighbors is dependent on Daniel Jones.
Actually, we've seen Daniel Jones. So I would want Sam Laporta. No, I think we're on the same page. I would want Sam Laporta because we know what that offense does. We know what that offense is capable of. It's a well-balanced offense, but I want that top end, that premium player. And I know Neighbors is going to give me that at certain weeks, but Sam Laporta, I feel like, will be a little bit more consistent.
I just think it's more value, a lot more value. Now, I got to say, the second one for me was much easier. And we're going to go with Cold first on this one. So, Cold, you can get ready. This is from Darius Carr, and it's Zay Flowers or Tank Dell in a PPR. Can you run and get them?
Yeah.
Tell them to turn it off now, please.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sending my buddy off to try to get the radio turned off. Anyway, Darius Carr wants to know, do you want Zay Flowers or do you want Tank Dell? Cash, you're first. Can't hear you, Cash. We keep losing your mic.
I said I'm taking Zay in this one, and I'm not doing it because I'm biased as a Ravens fan. I think in full PPR with catches in the way that they use Zay in a lot in the slot in many different formations, I'm taking Zay. This year with the Texans, I might not touch any of those wide receivers, including Nico Collins or Stephon Diggs. Yes, that's a great situation. Can we agree that the offense is going to be amazing? Yes. But with Stephon Diggs there being a true alpha man, Then you got Nico Collins being there. He was the number one threat last year. Tank Dell's coming off a broken leg. And then you also have Dalton Schultz over there as well. And you got to add in Joe Mixon, and he does catch the ball out of the backfield. I don't know who is going to be the number one guy week in, week out going there, moving forward with that offense. It's too high risk for me. I need something that's a little more sure thing. So I would go with Zay Flowers in the Ravens offense. It's less targets he has to worry about.
Bo, how do you feel?
I completely agree. Zay Flowers is going to be the wide receiver one in Baltimore, which is going to be an offense that will be more balanced because they were all injured last year. Every single Baltimore Ravens offensive player, except for Lamar Jackson, the MVP, was injured last year. Andrews went down. All their running backs went down. Rashad Bateman, a first-round pick who's going to have a huge season this year too, went down with injuries. This offense for Baltimore is going to be scary good. They're going to be scary balanced, and Zay Flowers is the alpha of that offense. Tank Dell, great player, but I think that he's due for some touchdown regression. He made a lot of big plays last year that we can't really count on as a sticky stat, where it seemed like every time Tank Dell ran a route, even as the wide receiver 3 in a formation, he was catching a touchdown every other game, and then he broke his leg. I don't really hold that against him. I just think that I'd rather have the number one option in an offensive passing game rather than possibly a fourth or fifth option, but up to a second option. I think the same thing Cold said, where I'd rather have the guy where I know he's an established focus of the offensive scheme and maybe not an ancillary character.
Tipp?
Yeah, for me, it's Zay Flowers versus Tank Dell. It's Zay Flowers. Bo just said it beautifully. I like Tank Dell a lot. The thing about Tank Dell is he is with a guy like Stephon Diggs, with a guy like Nico Collins. Joe Mixon can catch balls out of the backfield. Dalton Schultz, who we just talked about just a few minutes ago. I think that the ball's going to get passed around to a lot of the different receivers. Tank Dell will have his weeks, and then he won't have his week. So it's going to be, again, a little inconsistent at times. I think Zay Flowers gets his his points due to his consistency in this offense, different things they can do with him in this offense as well. He's called the human joystick for a reason. Lamar loves him. I know that they have Mark Andrews there. He also likes to run intermediate routes. But if you have both of those running intermediate routes and then sometimes Zay taking it off the top, then it just shows that, man, this offense is versatile, and I think it's going to be a really good one to watch in year 2 of Todd Monken's offense.
I'm going to kind of mirror what Bo said. Dell was impressive last year, but much of it was touchdown based. He had just 75 targets last year as the wide receiver too. This year, there's talk that he won't even be on the field in 2 receiver sets. It'll be Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins. And he had 47 receptions. That's just not enough opportunities. Zay Flowers, rookie last year, had 108 targets. So he's just getting a bigger workload from the get. So you got to give me Zay here. It's unanimous. We all like Zay Flowers in this one. So we did have a question in the chat. I have a trade on the table. I'm giving up Kyron Williams and Brian Thomas for Trey Benson and Marvin Harrison Jr. PPR 3-keeper league. Tipp, I'm going to go to you first.
Yeah, this came up earlier today, and I want to thank Jason for coming on. He actually reached out to me, and this came up. And I told him that I think he has CeeDee Lamb on his team as well. And if you have get a chance to get CeeDee Lamb and Marvin Harrison on your team, then I think you do it. I understand I love Kyron Williams and Brian Thomas Jr., but this could be a potential wide receiving core or a start to a wide receiving core that could be unstoppable for years to come. I love the fact that you have CeeDee Lamb. I love the fact that you are also going to have Marvin Harrison on your team for the next couple of years. So I say go for it, man.
I'm going to take a contrarian view. And the reason, because I like to disagree with Tipp. And also because you're giving up 2 players that will start for you this year to get 1 player that will start for you from now on. Trey Benson may turn out to be good, but you don't know.
Well, this is a keeper league, though, Craig. So he's gonna play.
When?
Next year.
Are you sure? What's going to happen?
I think this is it for James Conner, man. I love James Conner. I love the player.
I don't know why. He's 26 years old?
No. He's 29.
Is he?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I wouldn't do
Fact check it, Bo. Fact check it.
I wouldn't do it. Let's go.
He turns 30
Pat.
at the end of the year.
He turns 30 at the end of the year.
Okay. So, Bo, since you fact checked me, all right, would you do this trade?
Absolutely. As much as I like Brian Thomas Jr., I think that Kyron Williams is a sell high right now. He's a sell as high as you possibly can right now. A declining asset, which he popped last year because everybody on that offense got hurt. A lot like the Ravens got hurt on offense. The Rams, everybody dropped off like flies. Like every single person in that offense, except for Matthew Stafford, went through injury woes. And the only reason Kyron Williams got thrust into that bell cow role is because they had nobody else in that backfield that was healthy. Nobody. They had none. And Kyron Williams, through sheer volume alone, put up that running back 2 season. He had a terrible efficiency metrics across the board. He's not a good receiver. He's very, very, very slow. He's a terrible athlete by NFL standards and running backs. He's possibly the slowest punt returner in the history of the league. I think that with them drafting Blake Corum, that's like saying, oh, we found Kyron Williams again, except this time he's a good athlete. He can pass block. He can catch out of the backfield. He can do all the things Kyron can. He just does it with more explosive ability, more big playability. And so, yeah, I think I'd rather offload Kyron Williams shares for the peak price of getting Marvin Harrison Jr., who I consider to be a future Hall of Fame asset in Dynasty. This guy's going to be insanely good for 15, 20 years. He reminds me not of his dad, Marvin Harrison Sr., but of Jerry Rice. He is silky smooth. He runs routes with a passion. He doesn't have any weaknesses in his game. That's Marvin Harrison Jr. now. Just think about how much better he's going to get from where he's starting now as a professional. I want all of those guys on my team. I want to build that dynasty. That's why we call it dynasty, is you want to have that unstoppable force that everybody envies for years on end. And if you got CD Lamb already on your team and you can add another guy like CD Lamb to your dynasty roster, I'm pulling that trigger 100 times out of 100.
Okay. Well, you agreed with Tipp. We got to move on because we're a little bit over time, but we do have one more question. We'll go to Colt first on this one.
I was about to say no go for me.
Luke Jordan, who is better stash, Jameson Williams or Dontavian Wicks? Colt, who you got? Jamo or Wicks?
Wicks, so who's the other player?
Pardon me?
You said Wicks, or who's the other player?
Jameson Williams from Detroit.
I like Wicks.
You like Wicks?
Well, okay, why?
Yeah, if it's a keeper league, I'm going with Wicks over. He has a higher upside. He's younger. We've been waiting on this JMO train for the last 3 years. He hasn't showed up yet. And that offense with the Lions is very explosive. It's the same thing with the Texans. They added Allen Robinson. They got JMO. They got the God himself. They got Amar St. Brown. They got Gibbs. They got Montgomery. They got Sam Laporta. It's too many mouths to feed. It's only one ball. We've been waiting on this train too long. I'm going to pass on the JMO train, and I'm gonna go with Wicks.
Well, wait. I was with you until you said too many mouths to feed. There's not enough mouths to feed in Green Bay.
Yeah, the deepest wide receiver core in the league.
I think it's a different situation.
JMO is.
I think it's a different situation with Green Bay.
JMO is the wide receiver 2 in Detroit. He did not play at all his first year because he was coming off an ACL tear. He missed the first 4 games of his second year, and it took him a while to get started. I think this is JMO's year. To me, it's easy. It's JMO. How about you, Bo? And then Tipp.
I'm with Jameson Williams, but not because I don't like Dontavian Wicks. I think the upside is there for Wicks, but I think Jameson has more upside to counter your point, Cold. Jameson Williams was a spectacular play at Alabama. He annihilated defenses in the SEC. For all the years he was there, he lit that those best defenses the college could offer. Jameson Williams made them look like they were running in mud. He's unstoppable when he's on the field, and this offense is going to be very explosive. And like Tipp said, more mouths to feed in Green Bay by far. They have 2 good tight ends that can catch the ball. They have 2 good running backs that can catch the ball. And Dontavian Wicks, as good as he is, as exciting of a player as he is, he's going to be 3rd or 4th on that depth chart at wide receiver. behind Christian Watson, behind Jaden Reed, and possibly behind Romeo Dobbs. As much as we want to crap on Romeo Dobbs, that dude is a preferred X receiver in that offense. Whether he's running sacrificial routes or not, he's going to be on the field. Wicks was only on the field as much as he was last year because of injuries. As much as I love Wicks, I got to go JMO here because he's just, if he's on that field, he's going to be a threat. He's going to be a guy who can put down 25 fantasy points any given week, and I want to be a part of that.
All right, we're going to our next segment. I do think we have a lead in, but I'm going to ask Iggy not to play it because we're 5 minutes over time already. So our next segment is our studs to sit segment, where each one of us will tell you one player who's top 12 at his position that you should not start this week. And I'll go first to kind of give these guys an idea how we do it. I'm going with tight end David Njoku, okay? David Njoku played 11 games over the last 2 years with his quarterback, and the problem with his quarterback is he just hasn't been the same as he was when he was with Houston. Deshaun Watson is just up and down, and he's got a sore shoulder right now. I'm saying he had in the 11 games, he had one game where he didn't play, so there were 12 he could have. He was a starting tight end 4 times, tight end 2 twice, less than 7.6 times. So I'm saying you don't want Njoku in your roster in week 1. All right, we'll go to Colt first, then Bo, and then Tipp for their stud to sit.
Okay. My guy is going to be Marvin Harris Jr. And this is why. His value is going to be very heavy in success with the Cardinals offense. Last season, they ranked 24 in points, 19.4. He didn't have the quarterback to throw to him with 1,800 yards. So Murray is healthy. He threw for 3,700 yards last year for the first 3 seasons. Harrison should be the guy. Everyone is going to want that guy. But last season, Murray was healthy, and he played 4 games topping more than 500 yards. And the current only wide receiver ever did that before with Murray was Christian Kirk, leading the way with 982 yards. Harrison doesn't have that much depth behind him, so everyone's going to think he's going to be the guy. I do not think he's going to be the guy. I think he has to beat out McBride. And here's McBride was very good. He had a solid season in 23, producing with Kyler Murray. He had over 20-point PPRs per game. He did that 4 times last year, becoming the hog target, and I think that's going to continue this year. So McBride turned into an impressive year with a breakout finish of the top tight ends in PPR. He scored second in yards route, despite playing behind Zach Ertz for the first 7 games. He underachieved in the in TDs, but Ertz is going to be gone. The Cardinals is likely to be swapping wide receivers because Hollywood Brown is gone and Marvin Harris Jr. is going to be there now. But even with doing so, I think McBride is going to be the target haul. He's going to be the big share of the offense. And then you also have James Conner there. This is his 3rd year as tight end, and he's been a top 5 fantasy producer since he had his opportunity to play. So where's their smoke, there's fire. McBride broke out last year in his 2nd season, catching 81 passes for 821 yards, 3 touchdowns. He ranked 7 among touchdowns in PPR, 9th in total points. And McBride ranked 6 in targets, 7 in share, 5 in catches, 7 in yards, 18 in touchdowns. I don't think you go away from a short target to go to a rookie, regardless if his dad is the Hall of Fame guy. He just got unlucky in the red zone, and he ranked 13 among the tight ends in the red zone. And he ranked 13 among them because he only had 15, and he was 10th in red zone targets with 6, and 10th with expected touchdowns with 4.9. And he ranked 33 among tight ends with 40 targets or more last year. I think
people loving you, Cole. People loving you. I got to move it on.
Everything is going to go through McBride.
Okay, so Bo, people in the chat are loving you. I got to move it along because we're down to.
I know we're running behind, so I can't do everything. But yeah, that's the guy.
Okay, Marvin Harrison Jr. Bo, who do you got? Bo, we can't hear you.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I talked about it earlier. It's Kyron Williams. I think Blake Corum's a better version of Kyron Williams, and the need to have a bell cow in Sean McVay's offense is no longer there. I think Kyron Williams, just by sheer sharing the load more than he had to last year, it's going to be a big drop off in points per game, touches per game. The fact that he's their starting punt returner doesn't help at all, because it doesn't lend any confidence that he's going to be leaned upon as a bell cow back this year. He needs to be that bell cow back to pay off at his ADP, and to be a week 1 starter. That's fine if he's your RB2 or 3 or flex, but a lot of people are drafting him in the 2nd and 3rd round. I just think it was way too much for a guy who kind of feels like you're chasing points from last year if you're going that route.
Hey, I got to ask you before I turn it over to Tipp. McVay also said that Blake Corum was going to be the primary kick returner for LA this week. Do you believe it?
I mean, it might start that way. I think they're going to try a lot of different things with the new rules. I don't really think it's much to do about anything to worry about. Like, you're not worried about injuries as much with kick returns and punt returns. Like, some people are freaking out about it. I think it's more of like, okay, we're not necessarily going to put everything on this guy's plate, because we want him to play different positions. We want him to be involved in special teams. That just tells me that everybody's playing football. Everybody's playing their part on the team. And you don't have to go into that, oh crap, we don't have anybody healthy in this backfield, we need to put him back there to get 30 touches. I think that it's just to be more balanced. You're going to have 2 really good football players back there doing what they do. It just Kyron Williams was being drafted as a bell cow, and chances are that he's not going to ever be one again.
All right. Hopefully people they listened to me and Greg and didn't draft Kyron Williams because of the Blake Corum. And Cole, I'm not gonna start until I say this. There is no way in the world I drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. and I'm not gonna play him week 1. I've been waiting for that to happen. I gotta play him.
I got cut off before I got the stats to tell you don't play him week 1 because he's going against the 36th
I'm with you.
hardest defense.
Kip and I are in disagreement. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is the most overhyped player since I've been watching football.
But you don't draft him number 1 or number 2
I don't
in the
draft
second
him
round.
He's too early.
I didn't draft him. First or your second.
Tip, I got cut off before I can tell you why, if you drafted him high, why you would not play him this week, but you could play him for the rest of the week.
He will. Look, I don't have him in very many leagues, but the leagues I got him in, he's on the starting lineup. I'll tell you that. All right, so my stud to sit. It's easy for me. It's Brock Purdy, because he's got his weapon back in Brandon Ayuk. He got Trent Williams signed. Okay, that's great. You still got to deal with the situation of Christian McCaffrey. He is back. He's practicing. He's good. He should be good to go, but he's dealing with a calf injury. You got to look at that, because that is safety blanket for Brock Purdy. But I'm going to talk about this Jets defense. That is the big thing here. The Jets defense last year, they allowed less than a touchdown a game to opposing quarterbacks. They allowed 0.8 touchdowns per game. So I feel like this is a game where they're going to try to utilize Christian McCaffrey. They're gonna do plays. They're gonna do their trick play action plays that they always do. But these Jets are so disciplined when it comes to the back end, and so disciplined when it comes to rushing the quarterback. This team is it's gonna be a bloodbath out there in Santa Clara. That's all I gotta say. I think both teams are gonna knock each other out. They're gonna give each other the business week 1. I love it. I can't wait to see it on Monday night. And the other thing I'll also say about these Jets is this: last year, the Jets defense had the 3rd best as far as completion percentage, QB rating, and as far as passer rating as well. They allowed the 3rd best in all 3 of those categories. That team is ready, locked and loaded, and now they got Aaron Rodgers. I think the San Francisco 49ers are in a little bit of trouble.
Hey, this has been, to me, exciting. I love both our guests, but we've got to pay the bills. So, Iggy, tell us who's sponsoring this for us tonight.
Find your win tuition and elevate your sports betting with Better Takes. Better Takes examines your betting history to uncover hidden areas that cause bankroll leaks. Uncover patterns and biases so you can break the cycle of mistakes, avoid weaknesses, and play into your strengths. Our advanced stats offer unparalleled granularity, helping you immediately spot problem areas that could be affecting your success. Use the Better Takes Edge score to gauge your expertise for each potential bet, providing clarity and confidence in your decisions. Take control of your betting journey. Download Better Takes from the Apple App Store or Google Play today and start understanding your biases for free. Before placing bets, check with Better Takes, a smarter, more informed approach to sports betting.
Hey, we all want to make money. Download that Better Takes app and use it before you place any bets.
Yeah.
I mean, we all want to make money, but we have a new segment this year that we've never done before. We're going to track it, but it's the opposite of the studs to sit. People always tell you, never sit your studs.
Like Marvin Harrison Jr.
Well, we're 62.5% right for the year and 79% right for the playoffs in telling you to sit your studs.
Yeah.
Now, we didn't tell you to sit all your studs, of course, but there are always times when you want to sit your studs. Same thing. If there's times to sit your studs, there's times that there are sleepers. The guys that aren't normally starters should be starting. So we're doing a put me in, coach, I'm ready to play segment. And we're starting it off this year. Again, I'll go first to kind of show you how we're doing it.
Yep.
I went with wide receiver George Pickens, okay? He's being drafted as wide receiver 26, so he's outside the top 24. The way we determine who qualifies as a sleeper, if they're outside the top 12 quarterbacks or tight ends, you can use them. If they're outside the top 24 running backs or wide receivers, you can use them. So at wide receiver 26, ADP of 57, George Pickens is my guy. Now, I know the Steelers' offense looked putrid. I mean, it didn't look bad. It looked putrid in the preseason. But it's the preseason. You have to acknowledge that it doesn't matter whether it's Russ or Justin. It's better than it was last year at the quarterback position. And there's really no second receiver in town with Deontay Johnson gone. Now, I love Roman Wilson, but we're not even sure he's going to play. He's questionable with a high ankle sprain. So how did Pickens do in the preseason? He was targeted 6 times and caught 5 passes. He doesn't have to do a lot. I think he makes it into the top 24 and possibly the top 12 in week 1. So he is my sleeper to start. Let's go to Cole, and then we'll go to Bo and follow up with Tipp. Save the best for last.
So my put me in coach candidate's gonna be. What you say?
Go ahead.
Chris Godwin. Let's take a look at Godwin. Bucks offense 2024. Godwin currently coming off the board at average ADP of 7.5. He's wide receiver 35 in most draft boards. There's going to be 7 ways he can kick out of this current ADP, making him a fantasy sleeper in PPR and non-PPR leagues. Godwin topped 1,000 yards receiving for the 3rd straight season. He did 1,024. That was a significant part of the Bucks offense last year. And surprising resurgence that he did so well coming off of injury. He also averaged 12.3 yards per reception, his highest figure since 2020 when he was 12.9. And he topped this 75 times more. He topped 75 yards or more in only 5 of 17 games last season. But 2 of those games resulted in 100 yards efforts. One of them was 155 performance, week 15 over Green Bay. Coming off a torn ACL, that's your guy. He is averaging 10.9 points per game in the first 12 matchups, despite only being targeted 7.1 times. Meanwhile, Mike Evans picked up the slack last year, but I would not overlook him as a sleeper because when he's healthy, he is going to put up big numbers. Considering that we have a new play caller in Lane Coleman, that he's from that McVee coaching tree, this means that he should be the Cooper Kupp of the Bucks this year. And he's also playing in the slot. So that's going to give him more opportunities this year, playing short and intermediate range. So Baker's going to be Baker. Fantasy right now has him at 76.4 on the average PPR. He's 34 overall. CBS has him at 84.8. I'm putting him in. That's my guy. He's going to be the Cooper Kupp this year of the Bucks offense. So watch out for Chris Godwin.
I like that call. I like that call a lot.
Me
Bo,
too.
who do you got for us?
I love that Chris Godwin call. That's fantastic. I can't say the same about George Pickens, unfortunately. My guy is Jared Goff. Jared Goff is going off as quarterback 14 or 15, depending on where you're looking. He is playing almost all of his games indoors, including week 1 on, I believe, Sunday night against the Rams. That's going to be prime time, home game, rematch of last year's playoff game. Detroit's offense is a fast break. Ben Johnson, one of the best offensive minds in this game of football, one of the best coaches in the entire league. He turned down a couple head coaching positions to stay in Detroit, to be that play caller. He's got the perfect point guard from NorCal, Jared Goff. It's perfect because he's got so many weapons. He's got Jahmyr Gibbs and Monty in the backfield. He's got Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown out wide. He's got J-Mo taking the top off the defense. This guy's got so many weapons. He's got an outstanding offensive line. He's got a run-first mentality, Ben Johnson. And so he's just going to be dropping back, making play fakes, spreading the ball around, and 300 yards against a Rams defense that's down their middle linebacker, the starting middle linebacker. The guy with the green sticker on his helmet is out for this week. Jared Goff's going to piece them up for 350 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's an automatic start for me. I think that Detroit's going to be hopping on Sunday night.
Look, you got Greg to perk up. Look,
Is J-Mo getting one of those 3?
He might. I mean, it's very possible because I think that secondary for the Rams is pretty slow. They're not the most athletic bunch. Their corners are a little iffy and old. It's going to be a shootout. I think both teams got a lot of offensive firepower. I think Jared Goff goes completely ballistic on Sunday night. So that's my start from the sleeper category.
I'm loving this.
Yeah, this is good.
And you got 8 minutes to do yours. So guys, we got to stretch Tipp out for 8 minutes.
Whoa, nobody's stretching anybody out, Greg. Hold up. Now, so as far as my sleeper to start is going to be Terry McLaurin. Scary Terry is what they call him, right? So Terry McLaurin is one of those guys who it's kind of one of those forgotten people. Last year, he had 1,000 yards, although it wasn't really a fun 1,000 yards. Usually when you get 1,000 yards as a receiver or, close to 1,100 yards, it's fun. You like to see it. But with Terry McLaurin, it wasn't. And he had Sam Howell throwing the ball to him last year. Now you insert Jaden Daniels into the picture. Look, I've been talking with people at the Washington Commanders at their training camps that have been going there frequently. And they said that the connection between Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin is there. It's evident. And one thing that my guy Deuce in Red Zone in the lab said was that he could easily see Terry McLaurin this year getting 10 plus targets per game. And I said, well, what about 12? And he said, absolutely. And then when he told me that, I said, that's all I need to know. And then I asked him about, are they doing any run pass options? Are they doing any of those plays where, they just scramble drills or anything like that? He said, no, they're throwing the ball down the field. They're throwing it quick because their offensive line does have some issues, but they're throwing it quick as well.
12 targets a game is 204 targets. Nobody's getting 200 targets.
That is what my guy said. He said double digits, but I asked him 12. He said 12. I said, all right, I'm going to listen to what you said. This week, though, he's getting 12 targets.
He might in a game.
He's getting 12 targets.
He might in a game, but he's not doing it every game.
There's no more Jahan Dotson there either. So with the Jahan Dotson he's in there, I think that Terry McLaurin could be one of those players that does. I'm not going to say 200. I didn't say that. That was my guy Deuce.
You agreed to it.
I agreed, but I also think that it will be a little bit more realistic. 175. I think that that's something that he could do this year. I think he's going to return on the value that you have. Probably got him as a wide receiver 3. I got him as a wide receiver 3 in the league, and I think he's going to return the value almost immediately this week. Yeah. And look, another thing too, that Tampa Bay defense, they lost Carlton Davis to the Detroit Lions, so he's with them now. So I will say that this is a situation where Terry McLaurin can start right off the bat and get you a nice win this week and finish inside the top 12.
Cash, I got to bring Colt. What do you think, Colt? I say Cash because his Twitter handle is Cashville.
I disagree with that.
Finest,
I don't even think I don't even think Terry's gonna probably be a top 30 wide receiver this year, let alone top 15
this week.
this year.
Week, not this week.
Not even this week.
All
Not
right.
even this week.
People sleeping on Jaden Daniels' passing ability. I can see it already.
I watched a lot of Daniels. I think Daniels is going to spread the ball around. I don't think he's going to just look down the sight and only throw it to Terry. I think the other guys is going to be involved. I think Greg's guy Ben is going to have a big role in the offense. You still got Austin Eckler there. I think he's going to catch a lot of passes. And I think they're going to run the ball a lot more than people think that they're going to pass the ball. That's actually the reason why they traded Jahan Dotson, is because he couldn't block. He couldn't block. So they got rid of him because they plan on running the ball more than slinging it. So I think it's going to be a lot of opportunity for Terry, but I don't think he's going to put up those type of numbers.
I'll tell you what could derail it for you, Tip, is Cliff Kingsbury is the offensive coordinator.
The Cliff Kingsbury always comes out hot. And then he'll plateau about the middle of the
season. The dude's never done anything anywhere. He fails upward better than anybody. Terry's going to have his footprints out wide left all year.
Targets for McLaurin this week.
We're getting 12 targets.
I asked both.
12 targets, 5 catches, 60 yards. That's not going to pay the bills, my friend. Cliff's going to have him out wide left running 4 different routes. The corners will be calling out which route it is based on the formation. Cliff is the most predictable coach in the NFL. I have no idea how he's got a job at all coaching offense at this level. So if anything could derail Terry McLaurin, who is one of the most underappreciated players ever, it's because his offensive coach has no clue what he's doing.
Well, I got to tell you, this is a fun segment. I'm going to like this going forward. We're having a little trouble hearing because they turned the stereo back on, so there's not a lot we can do. We apologize if you can hear it. It's not our idea. But anyway, we do have...
You guys are wrong about Terry McLaurin, by the way.
Oh, tell us why, so I can pull
up. I just think it's a sheer volume, a sheer opportunity thing on this case. He's a guy who's going to get targets, and his efficiency rate as far as catching the ball is nice. It's going to be there for him this week. I think over the course of the year as a wide receiver 3, he's going to return on that value. This week, he's going to return on that value.
All right. Well, our last segment of the day is what I call This Day in History. It's a fun segment where I take something from the history and try to turn it into something related to football. So on this day in history, September 5th, 1836, Sam Houston was elected as the head of state, not the governor, the head of state of the Republic of Texas after colonists won their freedom in a revolt against the Mexican government. So my question is, and we're going to go to you first, Bo, what player, either born in the Lone Star State or who has played in the Lone Star State, who is currently playing in the Lone Star State, do you think will have the most fantasy points using Scott Fishbowl 14 scoring? Because that's really weird scoring. Who do you think is going to be the top Texas player?
I'm going to go straight to Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Oh, we lost you. Your audio's gone.
There we go. I'm going to go down to Sao Paulo, Brazil on Friday night. East Houston's own Jalen Hurts against the Packers defense is going to go ballistic. The Eagles offense is a force to be reckoned with. Everybody's kind of discounting them because Jason Kelce retired or whatever. The fact that he has Saquon Barkley sitting next to him in the backfield, he's got the best 1-2 punch of wide receivers in the league in Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. He's got everything on his shoulders to begin with. I think Jalen Hurts gets a couple rushing touchdowns. I think he gets a couple passing touchdowns. So I think with the Scott Fishbowl scoring, it's pretty balanced. You're just looking for big performances. You're looking for those big games. Jalen Hurts is no stranger to those big spike performances. I think we're getting a shootout in Brazil on Friday night, and I think Jalen Hurts is the benefactor of that.
You know what I didn't know? Devonta Smith has gained 1,000 yards receiving 3 years in a row.
Yep. They said he was too skinny, though.
And I think A.J. Brown has gained like 1,400 2 or 3 years in a row. Oh, man. You're right. They have the best receivers in the game.
The best 1-2 punch.
It certainly is. If they had a great tight end, it would be scary.
I think those dudes in Cincinnati have a little something to say about that.
Oh, maybe.
That's true.
We don't know
They're up there.
who's playing this week.
They probably got the best now because they added Jahan Dotson. I think Jahan Dotson as their wide receiver 3 in the slot is going to put them clearly as number 1.
All right, Cole, it's your turn, buddy. Who you got?
I'm going with the one and only Bijan Robinson from Texas.
Ooh, yeah.
In Atlanta.
Cole,
The handcuffs are off.
Cole, wait a second. Before you go further, I got to tell you that probably a month ago, this guy was calling Bijan the number 1 overall player in fantasy football, not just the number 1 overall running back. So he loves your team.
It's facts.
Love it.
So I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yeah. No, the handcuffs is gone. He is now going to be unleashed. Arthur Smith is gone. He's with his new team, do whatever he's going to do. They got a new head coach, the young defensive coordinator from the Rams. They're going to run the ball. He's in the perfect situation. With Atlanta Falcons, they have Tyler Algier, the backup behind him. He's going to be the bell cow over there. You got Kirk Cousins. We don't know what Kirk Cousins is going to do, but we know he slings it and he always shows up and performs. And he has great weapons on the outside to help open it up. So you can't put the 8-man box in there. You got Drake London on the outside with Kyle Pitts. And so we're gonna see what this Atlanta offense is gonna do. We don't know if they're gonna be run heavy. We don't know if they're gonna run the pistol or they're gonna sling it or whatever they choose to do. They're not gonna have an answer for Bijan Robinson because if I'm a linebacker, I probably would just go sit on the sideline and say where the Gatorade at. So I think he's gonna have several games where he breaks over 100 yards this year with multiple touchdowns, receiving and rushing. He's gonna put a streak on. So they may not win all the games, but if you have him, you're gonna be very well off for your investment in fantasy or a redraft.
And you know what, Cole? I love everything you said about Bijan. I agree with you wholeheartedly. One thing I will also say is at the beginning of this season, there's two things. You have the Kirk Cousins injury from last year, and you got him learning a new offense, a new whole regime, all of this other things. So I think they're going to lean heavily on the run to start the season. They'll get some passes off because that's what you do in the NFL. You pass the ball. But I think that we're not really going to see this pass game take off until maybe week 3 or week 4. Once they get the kinks and cobwebs out, then they make sure that Kirk Cousins is ready to go, ready to, throw off of that leg and make those passes that I know that he can make. So I think that they utilize the run game quite a bit. So I love everything you said about Bijan.
And Bijan, he can catch 60 or 70 balls.
Yes, he can.
He certainly can. He's got great hands.
Yep. Who you got, Greg?
No, we're going you next.
Oh, okay. All right. So, my boy, Bo, he talked about Jalen Hurts, who is from East Houston. I'm going to go to a guy who's from the west side of Houston, Missouri City, and Devon Achane. Look, I'm not the biggest Devon Achane fan as far as where his ADP was. I did see it started to dip towards the end of the draft season, and I was happy to see that because I think in this first game with the over/under at 49.5, that's for BetMGM, that I think that he is going to be one of those players this week that just breaks it. And he's going to break loose for a touchdown. I feel like that Dolphins and that Jaguars game is going to be a really, really high-scoring affair out there. And I also feel that Devon Achane is going to get some catches as well. This is going to be that week that everybody's going to be like, Tipp, I told you so. I told you to get Devon Achane. Don't get it twisted. It's going to be sporadic. It's going to be weeks that you're going to be like, where did Devon Achane go? But in the week 1, it's in that situation where it's a higher-scoring game, possibly. I think you go with Devon Achane in this one.
You're not at all worried about the way he finished last year?
Last year I'm not worried about it because the Jaguars gave up 23 points per game to the running back position last year. Now, that's going to be amongst possibly 3 running backs, but I think Devon Achane is the one that breaks off a really, really nice run for you and possibly gets in that end zone as they reward him for breaking off a nice run.
Fair enough. I was going to go with wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, but yesterday on the injury report, he was listed as out.
Yeah.
All right. So I actually changed strike. Now, today's injury report, he's not even on it.
Right.
So CD may play. He may not play. He's still on the exemption list. They have to remove him, but they can do that right up to kickoff.
Yep.
So
He's definitely playing.
I went with Houston quarterback CJ Stroud because he's got the tools, baby. I mean, I love Nico Collins, Michigan guy. You know, I'm going to love Nico. But now you got Stephon Diggs, who is a superstar wide receiver. You got Tank Dell, who's healthy again. You got the tight end, Dalton Schultz can catch. And Joe Mixon not only adds a running threat, but he can catch the ball out of the backfield, and Damian Pierce can catch the ball out of the backfield. There's just so many people. The one guy that should have a great game in that game is C.J. Stroud. I don't see how he cannot score a bunch of points in that game. And we're sitting here in Houston. Everybody here loves the Texans. So this crowd loves the fact that I think he's going to have a great, great show. So that's any disagreement with that, Cole?
No, I mean I agree. I think he's going to have a great game. He does has all the tools. I'm not high on Houston this year. I don't think they're going to do as well as people think, but I do think their offense is going to put up godly numbers. I don't know if it's going to result into wins at the end of the day, but I do think that he's going to have a great year. But a part of me say it might be a dumpster fire because I don't know what Stephon Diggs is going to do if he's not constantly getting the ball in that offense. It may derail those young wide receivers and some of the stuff that they have going on. And you have a vocal Joe Mixon over there as well. I don't know how all this is going to be. It's either going to be something great or it's not going to be something great. But either way, I think they're going to put some numbers up. I just don't know if it's going to equate into win.
Okay, Bo, I got to ask you, how many points is CJ cooking this week?
This week, I'll give him 22, which is plenty good enough to start and be a QB1 answer. I think he's around that QB 10 to 12 all season long on a points per game basis. This is a high total game, so I expect him to be towards his ceiling starting off the season.
Well, I appreciate it. We're actually going to get out of here a little bit early simply because I got to get this guy home so he can watch the football game.
Yeah, because I'm going
we don't
crazy.
Miss that. And we're seeing the screens up with at Arrowhead. We hear Mel saying that there's rain there. So
90% all night.
If there's raining, I'm loving King Henry.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So next week, we actually have
he might have 16 touchdowns this year.
Blake of Dynasty
20. Let's go.
Dynasty DNA. What's that?
20 touchdowns.
Derrick Henry might have 16, but Bo thinks 20. I take Bo.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Good luck stopping the read up.
20 touches is a big over. Yep.
I think so. But we got TJ Blake and Chris Doherty next week. So tune in next week. We won't be doing it from here. We'll be doing it from our own home offices where it's a little bit quieter and easier for us to get by. I want to thank our guests, Bo. It was a pleasure. Get that recipe to Tipp because he needs to slim down. I've got a dad bod. I like my body.
Same here, Greg.
Where you can find us, where you can find yourself, man.
You can find me on Twitter at Bo_MakeBigTime. And I am the owner and executive chef at BigTimeFlavor.co, home of the most deliciously intense condiment on planet Earth, Hot Box Gourmet Hot Sauce. Go check out BigTimeFlavor.co.
Hey, before we go to Cole, Bo, do you know Mace Riney? Because he claims he knows you.
Yeah, he's one of my best friends in the whole world. He lives 45 minutes away from me.
He started this podcast. He was Tipp before Tipp came along.
Yeah. So Mace might actually be sitting next to me on my couch watching Red Zone on Sunday.
All right. Well, say hi to him. I miss him, although I like my new guy. I really do.
Tipp is a charmer.
Are you doing any content at all, Cole?
Yeah, my podcast is live. I haven't done anything for this week for the new season, but Podcast is live on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, and anywhere else you want to listen to your podcast. We are live on We are doing the podcast. This is year 2.
I got to thank Cole because he was a last-minute add-on to the show, and he volunteered and he prepared well for the show. Thank you very much for filling in, Cole. I really appreciate it. All right, take us out of here, Iggy.